preach today on idleness. We're going to talk about the dangers of idleness and how to combat it. We're going to talk about how it can destroy our life, our walk with God. So spiritual idleness, it can cause so much discontent and unhappiness in our life. It's so dangerous that it could actually destroy our walk with God. See, Unamuno, the Spanish philosopher, tells us about the Roman aqueduct in his native Spain. It was built in AD 109. For 1,800 years, it carried cool water from the mountains to the hot and thirsty city. Nearly 60 generations of men drank from this flow. Then came another generation, a recent one, he says, who said the aqueduct is such a great marvel that it should be preserved for our children as a museum piece. We shall relieve it from a century-long years of labor. So they did just that. They laid modern iron pipes and gave that ancient bricks and mortar a reverent rest. The aqueduct, the thing is, over the years, the aqueduct the mortar began to dry. It began to crack, it began to crumble. The bricks and the stones sagged and threatened to collapse. And listen to this, church, what ages of service could not destroy, idleness disintegrated. What ages of service could not destroy, idleness disintegrated. So idleness is very dangerous for both the new Christian and the seasoned Christian alike. It's dangerous in both of those areas. If we're not doing anything for our spiritual growth outside of church, if we're not worshiping, if we're not praying, if we're not witnessing, if we're not gathering together with other Christians, if we're not doing any of those things, then we're not going to grow spiritually. So we can come to every service, and that's great. And for a while, we're going to grow, and when we feed ourselves. But if we're not exercising those things, if we're not applying those things to our lives, we're not going to grow. We're just going to become idle. And just like that Roman aqueduct, whenever the heat of light turns up, whenever it starts to beat down on us, we're going to crumble and we're going to fall apart. So we got to stay active in the things of God. We got to continue to pursue God and all those things of God, all the things that God would have us to do. Ecclesiastes 10:18 says, because of laziness, the building decays. Through the idleness of hands, the house leaks. I know when you own a home, you got to take care of it. If you just let it sit and don't do no repairs, and it's going to begin to fall apart. The pipes are going to rust, and you're going to have all kinds of issues. It's a very true saying that I'm sure you've all heard before. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Yeah. Okay, and idleness, Satan can do some of his best work. Because Satan loves to exploit our weaknesses. He loves to do that. And when we're idle, that's what we do to grow weak. If we're not putting our feet forth and actually walking in the things that God has called us to walk in, we can be learning we can be taking all this stuff in. We can be reading, listening to sermons, but if we're not activating that stuff in our lives, we're just coming through these doors and then going home and doing nothing, then we're not going to grow. We're going to become idle. We're going to get lazy. I don't know about you guys, when I'm at work, I hate taking a lunch break. I absolutely hate it. Because as soon as I stop, it's hard to get going again. When I'm exercising, if I'm walking, if I stop to take a rest, I just don't want to get up and continue to go on. It's the same thing in our spiritual life. If we're not doing anything at all, it's going to be really hard to go. Or these people who've been saved for a while, we have a tendency to, over the years, to slow our pace down. We don't read like we used to read. We don't do the things, we don't participate in the church things like we used to participate in. We don't go outreach, and our witnessing slows down. And pretty soon, we find ourselves just going to church, going home, going to work, coming home, and that's it. It's a dangerous place to be. If you're not making an impact in your community, if you're not making an impact in your family's lives, if you're not making an impact in your friends and in your workplace, it very well could be because you're idle. Because you grow weak when you're idle. I call that being a veal Christian. Not a real Christian, a veal Christian. You never want to be a veal Christian. Veal comes from a calf that's never allowed to move. It's put in this small confined cage or box. And the calf's not allowed to move at all, so that way the meat remains tender. So the calf gets bigger because they continue to feed that calf and continue to give it all the things it needs to grow. But because it can't move, it grows weaker. Bigger and weaker at the same time. And then when it gets so heavy, it can't stand on its own feet because it's so weak, it can't even hold its own weight up. Right? It's at the mercy of everything around it. And the same thing happens in our Christian lives, our Christian walk. When we become idle, sometimes it's because we put ourselves in a confined space. Just like that cat. We put ourselves in a box. We say, oh, well, this is what I do. I play the keyboard, or I sing, or I'm an usher, or I'm a Bible study leader, or I'm just a member. I just come here and sit. This is what I do. So we put ourselves in this box. We don't allow ourselves to get out and move outside of that box, so we become very comfortable because we like comfort. We don't like to stretch ourselves. But listen, you're not going to grow if you don't stretch. When someone's working out, a lot of that time, a lot of those muscles come from stretching. It's breaking down and rebuilding. So if we're not willing to get outside of that box and to move and to stretch ourselves, we're not going to grow. We're going to grow bigger and weaker at the same time. Then when life comes crashing down, or when crisis comes up, or anything pops up that we're not expecting, we're not going to be able to stand up when the time comes because we're so weak. We're going to fall. We'll get Satan's mercy, just like a cat's at the mercy of all around it. So we got to allow ourselves to be able to grow. We got to allow ourselves to be willing to push ourselves outside of that box that we put ourselves in. Okay? The only limitations that we have as Christians are the only limitations that we put on ourselves. So we got to move. We got to allow ourselves to be stretched. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, but we got to be willing to let ourselves be uncomfortable. We're never going to grow. If we stay in our shell, what are we going to do? What impact are we going to have? As Christians, we have to avoid all kinds of idleness. All kinds of idleness. Some of us, we read a lot. We study the scripture, we read. We come to church, we're taking in the sermons, we're worshiping God, but we're not applying those things to our life. So, just like that calf is growing bigger, we're growing bigger in our knowledge, but we're growing weaker at the same time because we're not applying any of that to our life. We're not doing. We're not doing. And some people are on the opposite end of that. We're doing. We're so busy, our schedule's packed, we're doing this, we're running here, we're running there, but we're not sitting at the feet of Jesus. We're not reading, we're not taking that Word of God in, so we need to do both. We need to equally read the Bible, we need to be in the Word of God, we need to be at church taking in these sermons and applying to our lives. We need to do also. We need to move. What's the point of taking all this knowledge in and learning if we never put it to practice, right? It's like these kids in medical school, You spend the first year or two just learning, taking all this stuff in. And some of it doesn't make sense to them. I talk to people in medical school. And they say it's when they go to their clinicals, when they actually put their hands to practice and actually start doing some of the things they learned. Now, it makes sense now. They start to see more clearly why they just taught this or why they just taught that. Because now they're putting it into practice. The same with our Christian walks. If we continually read and store all this information but do nothing with it, what's the point? It's like going to med school and deciding you want to go work at a gas station, do nothing with your medical degree. What's the point of taking all this in? We're not going to apply it to our lives. See, God has taught us more than just to be saved. He called us to make impact in our world, impact in this generation, impact in our community, impact in our families' lives, impact in our workplace. Everywhere we go, we should be making impact as Christians. I mean, the God who raised Christ from the dead, that same power lives in us. That should mean something. That should mean something. We have the ability as Christians to walk into a room and change the whole atmosphere. But if all we're doing is just sitting idle, we come to church and go home, just go about our daily life, and we're not going to grow. We're not going to have that same impact that we had. See, the Bible says that all of us were given a measure of faith. Every single one of us. So the problem is that we don't have faith. The problem is that we don't exercise it. It's like we all have the same muscles. Not one human being has an extra muscle that someone else doesn't have. But yet we see people like The Rock or like Arnold Schwarzenegger's. They're huge. It's because they exercise those muscles. They have no extra muscle than we have, but they exercise those muscles. And our faith is the same way. We got to stretch our faith. We got to move out into things that are uncomfortable for us. We got to step into the unknown and just trust God. And the more we do that, the more our faith is going to grow. Okay? But we're not going to achieve that by being idle. So we have to watch. It's an easy trap to fall in. It's an easy trap to fall in. A car's purpose in life is to be fueled up, started, put in a drive, and get us where we need to be, right? When that car transmission goes out, it's not going to take us anywhere. You can rev the engine and rev it all you want, but it's going to go nowhere. The engine's going to rev, but it's not going to move. The car becomes nuisance for its creating to do. If you want that car to get somewhere, how many are going to put some work into it? And again, you're not going to sit at home and expect it just to repair itself, right? You got to put some work in that car if you want to go somewhere. Otherwise, it's going to sit there, it's going to decay, it's going to rust, the fuel's going to go bad, and you're going to have all kinds of problems that you haven't had before. And that's the same with our walk with God. We got to continue to oil it, we got to continue to maintain it, we got to take care of it. Because some of us here have a transmission problem. We're revving our engines and we ain't going nowhere. We do a lot of talking. That's true. As Christians, we do a lot of talking. We know how to walk the walk, talk the talk. We know the Christian lingo. And we're really good at presenting ourselves. But what are we doing at home? What are we doing outside of these doors?
Yeah,
we're doing a lot of revving, but going nowhere. We make a lot of noise. But what are we doing? Because I can tell you, when you're doing something, that's right. When you're doing something for God, man, you're going to see impact. You're going to see fruit following it. If you want to make impact, you got to maintain yourself. You got to keep yourself maintenance, right? You got to keep reading, keep studying, keep worshiping. keep outreach and keep fellowship with other Christians. You got to keep moving. You got to keep doing something. All right. So idleness is like a bad disease that weakens us, and not just us, but weakens the whole body. And we're going to get to that a little more later. But there's a remedy for that today. A remedy for that. We gotta build and maintain in our lives a Christian routine. We gotta create a Christian routine. We gotta keep that Christian routine. And as we build a routine in our life, that's gonna keep us from being idle. And once you build a routine, we get so used to doing that it's just gonna be something natural that you do. It's the godly routines that's gonna see us through difficult times. It's our godly routines that will fall back on when we're going through trials and tribulations. It's our godly routines that will give us victory in our battles. Let's turn to 1 Kings 21, 17 through 19. 1 Kings 21, chapter 21, verse 17 through 19. Just a little backstory on that. Before this, King Ahab, he wanted Naboth's vineyard, but Naboth said no. He refused to give it to him. So Ahab was like a big pouting baby. He threw himself on the bed. He's refusing to eat. He's just really sulking. And Jezebel, she had Naboth basically stoned and killed because she said to the king, she says, "Don't you know the authority that you have? You know, you're the king. You can have this guy killed." So she went and she set a couple people up to be a false witness against him and had him stoned to death. They said he was blaspheming God. So he had him stoned. So that's the backstory of that. So we're going to pick up in 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 17 through 19. It says, "Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, 'Arise, go down to meet Ahab, king of Israel, who lives in Samaria. There he is in the vineyard of Naboth, where he has gone down to take possession of it. He shall speak to him, saying, Thus says the Lord, have you murdered and also taken possession? Then you shall speak to him, saying, Thus says the Lord, in the place where dogs lick the blood of Naboth, dogs shall lick your blood also, even yours.'" Now if we skip ahead to chapter 22, verse 34 to 38. "Now a certain man drew a bow at random and struck the king of Israel between the joints of his army." So since the last verse we read, they came across the army. Whole couple of different things happened, false enemies and stuff like this. So anyway, so now they're about the battle. Okay. "So now a certain man drew a bow at random, and he struck the king of Israel between the joints of his armor. So he said to the driver of his chariot, 'Turn around and take me out of the battle, for I am wounded.' The battle increased that day, and the king was propped up in his chariot, facing the Syrians, and died at Eman. The blood ran out from the wound onto the floor of the chariot. Then as the sun was going down, a shout went throughout the army, saying, 'Every man to his city, and every man to his own country.' So the king died, and was brought to Samaria. And they buried the king in Samaria. Then someone washed the chariots in a pool in Samaria, and dogs licked up the blood while the harlots bathed, according to the word of the Lord which was spoken." So I want to talk about the archer in that text for a little bit. See, in our text, the archer was just going about his daily routine. Nothing special. He's just doing what he's always trained to do. He wasn't sitting at home. He wasn't tired and he set out that day. He was just doing what he always did because he had a routine set up in his life. The archer's repetitive training, it probably seemed insignificant to him. The things he did every single day, the practice of shooting the bow, the way he would draw out of his quiver, the way and breathing techniques as he pulled and released that bow, it probably seemed tedious to him. It probably seemed insignificant. But it was that routine that he established through his training that caused the archer to be successful in battle. You hear me this morning? If we build a godly routine in our life, if we worship, we pray, we go to church, we outreach, witness. If we build those godly routines in our life, we're going to be successful in life. We're going to overcome every single battle that we come across.
Yes.
Even our military today, in their constant training. They have a PE. What is it, Joe? Every day at PE, don't you? And then they still have to pass a fitness test like once a year, every 6 months, every 6 weeks. They got to pass a fitness test because they know that they got to keep those soldiers, ready to go. Because you never know when that call's going to come. They're going to get shipped overseas. So if they're just sitting idle, doing nothing, if they're not training, if they're just sitting around being lazy, when the time comes for battle, they're gonna suffer loss. It's that endurance that they built themselves from the training that sees them through a battle. It's that routine that they follow that helps them be successful in a battle. Because the sword that panics in battle is the sword that's going to get killed or cause someone else to get killed. You got to keep your head. You got to be cool. But it's a routine. The same with police officers. Anyone else is something similar. It's that routine that you fall back on. So when you're in the middle of a crisis, you fall back in that routine. We had a guy in the restaurant, I don't know, a month ago now, came in. I was on my shift for 10 minutes, started choking. And I see him waving his hand, give that universal sign. So everyone panicked. I mean, even the managers, they panicked. And they didn't know what to do. And they just watched this guy choking. I just went up and turned around, did a high leg, and it came out. He was breathing. But it's because I kept my head. I didn't panic. I didn't freak out. So, it's something I just learned from reading to do. And when the time came, I was able to execute that. And God had his hand in that for sure. So our routines will help us be successful in battle. We've got to build a routine. If we're just sitting at home, being idle, doing nothing spiritually for our growth, then we're going to fall every time. It's not going to take much to defeat us. How many know we're in a battle? Yeah. We're in a battle. The enemy is very real. He says he wants to come and kill, steal, and destroy.
Oh, yeah.
He's vicious. He loves the weak. He will take out the weak. So it's important that we're continually exercising ourselves in the things of God. We've got to be spiritually fit. That's why it's important that we develop and continue in our Christian routines. Go to church, read the Bible, pray, worship, witness. It's that simple. Church, read, pray, worship, witness. If we apply those things in our life, we make it a routine. I'm telling you, man, you're going to be so strong in your Christian walk. You're going to be able to overcome every obstacle. You're going to be able to make an impact in your community, impact in your family's life. You're actually going to do something for God. Sometimes without even knowing it, we're fulfilling the will of God just by doing our daily routine.
Yes.
Just by simply doing what we're supposed to do, by simply just doing those 5 things, we're actually going to be fulfilling the will of God in our lives. The archer had no idea by shooting that arrow that he was going to be fulfilling the prophecy of God. He was just doing what he needed to do. He was falling back in that routine. He had no idea that his action would be recorded for a lifetime for people to read. 1,000 years later, people will still be reading about his name in the Bible. He had no idea. He had no idea that one arrow shot from his bow would change the course of Israel. He had no idea. He was just simply doing what he always needed to do. So when we're in the midst of a battle in our life, it becomes so easy to become led by emotions. We're going through a trial or a battle, and it's so easy to do. But our hearts and our emotions will deceive us. Our feelings will lead us astray. So we got to really learn to reel that stuff in. That's why it's so important we have that godly routine, because whenever we're standing upon the Word of God, and we have brothers and sisters to help us along also with godly advice, and then when things come our way, we tend to more to make a decision based on the Bible instead of based on what we feel is the right thing to do in that situation. All right? Because I know the whole society says, what feels good to us is good for us. What feels right must be right. And just go with your heart, they tell you. Just do what your heart tells you. And that's wrong. Don't do what your heart tells you. The Bible says our heart is full of all kinds of evil.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of wickedness. So don't be deceived. Your heart will deceive you. We need to make our decisions based on a holy God, unmovable God, by the Word of God. We need to take advice from our brothers and sisters who actually care about our soul, not from the heathens out in the world who don't care about their soul. Proverbs 14:12 says, "There's a way that seems right to man, but its ways lead to death." When you're going through a trial in your life, it's not the time to get swept by emotions. And you look on the garden as the original sin, because they ate from the apple of good and evil, knowledge of good and evil. It doesn't seem like a big deal, right? They ate the apple, no big deal. But actually what happened in that garden was they inserted themselves. Man inserted themselves as judge of what's good and evil. Instead of good and evil being based on a holy, unmovable, righteous God, we now go by our own feelings what we decide is good and evil. So that's what happened. So we gotta watch. We gotta make sure we're grounded in things of God. It says the Word of God is the discerner of truth. So if we're not in the Word of God, we're gonna have a really bad idea of what's true and what's not true. What decision to make, which way to go, what to do in the midst of a crisis or tribulation. When we go through these difficult times or crises in our life, it's then that we need to pull closer to God. And the opposite's true. We see so many people, we see them pulling away from God. As soon as a bump comes in the road, as soon as something happens, as soon as they get in a fight with somebody, really just any excuse they can use, as soon as a hardship comes, they flee and run from God. You know, it seems almost natural, I guess, for us to do that, but it's not. We got to pull closer to God. I've seen so many newcomers fall away at this point in their life. And it's like, if you just would have kept pushing, kept praying, kept reading, kept coming to church, you kept doing that godly routine, you probably would have had that breakthrough you was looking for. But instead, we take off, we flee, we run, we hide, and everything in our life becomes worse. Because now we're making decisions on our own feelings, our own emotion, our own rage, our own whatever. You know? We always fall back on what we know. So if we have a godly routine set up in our life, we're going to fall back on the things that God will get in trouble. But if our routine is just in worldly things, if it's drinking, if it's smoking, if it's whatever it is, you know, if it's just watching TV, if it's indulging in food, if it's whatever it is, whenever we get through a hard time, that's what we're going to fall back on what we know. So what is it that we know? Is it the things of God? If we set a godly routine up, that's what we're going to fall back on. It's just going to become a habit. When a hard time comes, you're gonna pray, you're gonna worship, you're gonna read, you're gonna fellowship with other Christians to get strength and draw strength and get advice. You're gonna go to church. We've got to build a strong foundation. Psalms 11:3 says, "The foundations are restored. What can the righteous do?" So we got to build on that foundation. Jesus Christ needs to be the cornerstone of that foundation. Then we got to build on that cornerstone. You know, that mortar that holds all these bricks together, that foundation together, it's the reading, it's the praying, it's the fellowship, it's going to church, it's the worship, it's the witnessing to other people. This is what's going to hold that foundation firm together. And if we don't do that, if we don't have a strong foundation, if we don't have a godly routine set up in our life, and the first one that comes our way, it's gonna destroy our foundation. It's gonna destroy our walk with God. See, it's vital that we establish and maintain a godly routine. It's vital that we stay busy with the things of God and not become idle. And then when a crisis pipes up, if something happens all of a sudden, what are we going to do? We're going to go to church. We're going to read. We're going to pray. We're going to worship. We're going to witness. When you're short on your bills and everything seems hopeless, what are we going to do? We're going to go to church. We're going to read. We're going to pray. We're going to worship. We're going to witness. When the salt of hell breaks loose in our life and there's all kinds of habits going on, what are we going to do? We're going to go to church. We're going to read. We're going to pray. We're going to worship. We're going to outreach. That's what we're going to do. When we're going through struggle, this is not the time to stop serving God. One of my favorite quotes from Winston Churchill is this: "When going through hell, don't stop." Amen. Don't stop. Why would you want to stop there? Why would you want to stop when you're in the midst of a crisis, when you're at one of the most maybe terrible moments in your life? Why would you want to stop serving God there? How is that going to help? Nothing's too big for God. Amen. Well, that's where we want to stop, because we're quitters. We like to quit. We don't like to go through things that are difficult. But listen, it's those very things that God allows us to go through that's going to shape us and mold us into things that He wants, or the people He wants us to be. We have to allow ourselves, you know, to go through these things. When the time gets rough, it's our daily routine that will fall back on. So we got to keep on going. We got to keep pushing through. You know, we got to keep going to church. We got to keep reading. We got to keep praying. We got to keep outreaching. We got to keep that godly routine. You know, it could be that one more that gives us that breakthrough that we've been waiting for. It could be that one more church service, that one more offering, that one more worship song, that one more outreach, that one more person that you're witnessing to, that we can see our breakthrough. But so often we quit when victory is just right around the corner. We're almost there, but we just quit. And this generation has become so soft. You know, kids don't have to study hard anymore because you know what, they're going to pass me through anyway. So they're not going to put out hard work and say, no, we're going to get passed. You know, we look at sports teams, baseball teams. You know, we became a generation of pansies. We really have. I mean, everybody gets a reward. Everybody gets a pat on the back. Everybody gets a that-a-boy. You know, you see baseball teams. Everyone gets a reward. Everyone gets a trophy. Why? For losing? I mean, life sucks. Life's not fair. If you don't win, you don't get a trophy. It's that simple. But that's not what we're doing these days. Everyone gets a trophy for participating. You know, when all it's doing is it's making a soft generation. It's making people feel entitled to everything. You know, they don't have to work hard for anything. And the same in our Christian walk. You know, we're not going to get where we want to be. You know, we might have a vision for our life. You know, we want to do this, we want to do that. We're not going to get there by being idle. We're not going to get there by just sitting back and watching the pastor preach or, you know, watching people do things for God. That's not going to get us anywhere. You know, life's not fair. Christianity's not fair. It takes work. You got to do something for God. He's not just going to pour blessings upon life. There's times He'll bless our life, but listen, those things that you want to do for Him ain't going to happen unless you do something. The same thing baseball team. You're not going to get a reward for doing nothing. Okay, it's important what we do. And Pastor said it the other day. You know, it's between the time that we're saved to heaven. It's all the details. They do matter. It's the details that count. What are we doing with our lives? What are we doing? So in our text, we see the archer was also in his right place. He's where he was supposed to be. You know, we're all part of the body of Christ. We're all members of the same body. We all have a calling, and it's important that we line ourselves up to where God has called us to be. Okay? Like I talked about before, when we put ourselves in this confined box and we're not always going, we know God's calling us to a certain area in our life. We know God's calling us to do this or do that, but we're so stubborn. And we're so worried about our comfort level. We don't want to put ourselves out there, so we keep ourselves in this box. But it doesn't just hurt us. It affects everybody. And someone backslides and disappears from the church. It doesn't just affect that person. It affects every single person here because we're a body. We are one. We need each other. We need each other. So nobody can replace anybody in here. If Chris disappears, which would be hard because we would find her, we would chase her down, we would drag her back here and chain her to that chair. But if somehow she disappears, we're all hurt. Because no one can fill in her shoes. No one has her gifts and capabilities. No one has her personality that God created her to have. No one has those gifts that she has. So when she's missing, she's truly missing. Because we can't fill in that spot. So the whole body is affected by that. The whole body. You know, if you're not in the right place where you're supposed to be, it's like, you know, what good's a foot if it's on your knee, you know? Or your eye if it's on your heel. You know, we're going to be stumbling around, we're going to be limping, it's going to be all going to be crazy, right? We're not going to be able to function as a body. We're not in the right place. You know, and Joel talks about the army of God, that they're all in their rank. That always stuck out to me. It says none of them broke their rank. They all marched in unity. None of them breaking their rank. No one trying to go above this person's head. No one trying to sit back and take it. Everyone is where they're supposed to be, it says. They marched in rank. No one broke their rank. So it's important that where God calls us to be. So we can't allow anything to stop us, including our own selves. Because usually that's what stops us. Nothing else but ourselves. And so if one member is out of place, it throws off the whole body. It's important that we line ourselves up to where God has called us to be, and that we position ourselves towards the things of God. You know, the problem for some of us is that we're all fired up for God, and we love God, and we're always talking about it, and we say all the things we're going to do, but we're facing the wrong way. We're shooting arrows, but we're shooting the opposite way. Instead of facing the things of God, the things that we're called to do, we're facing everything else but those things we're supposed to be doing. You know, we're saying we love God and want to do something for Him, but we're shooting arrows right at TV, at our jobs, our friends, you know, anything that, except for what it's supposed to be. Instead of going to church, reading, praying, worshiping, witnessing, we're doing anything but those things. So we're shooting arrows, but we're too often shooting the wrong way. So instead of facing the things of God, you know, we're turning towards just all these different things and nothing for our spiritual growth. Like I said before, TV, our friends, our jobs, those are all good things, but if that becomes the biggest parts of our life versus reading, praying, fellowshipping, going to church, all these different things, that becomes the number one thing. If our job oversees our things that God's called us to be spiritual, and we're just going to be spiritual lazy. You know? Yeah, we're busy, we're working, we're going our friends, we're doing this, we're doing that, but we're growing spiritual lazy. The less we read, the less we're going to continue. The less we worship, the less we're going to worship. Continue to worship. It's going to be a downward spiral. So finally we find ourselves absolutely doing nothing for God at all. And then we find ourselves, that's when church becomes a chore, isn't it? When we're just idle. We're not studying the Word of God. We're not passionate. See, that when we keep that godly routine, it keeps our passion and our zeal going, because you got to keep on feeding that fire. God put that fire in our hearts, but when we got saved, we got to keep feeding that fuel. You got to keep stirring that fire. If we're not reading, if we're not praying, if we're not witnessing, if we're not worshiping God in our homes, then we're going to go so lazy. We're going to have no impact. We're going to have no fruit. Then when the enemy attacks us, and we don't have that godly routine established, we're going to be easily defeated, because we leave ourselves vulnerable, because we have our back turned the wrong way. You've got to be facing that enemy. You've got to be facing the things of God. And then, if we're set on a godly routine and the enemy attacks us, or when we're going through trials and tribulation, or if we keep our routine that we've been taught, and then we're going to come through the trials victorious. And we'll probably come through better than we ever was before. Because God's going to be using it. Hebrews 12:11 says, Now no chastisement seems to be joyful for the present, but painful. Nevertheless, afterward it yields a peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. So we have to allow ourselves to be trained by it. We can't flee every bump in the road. We can't give up and quit every bump in the road. We're never going to do anything for God. We're never going to do anything for the people around us who we love, who we want saved. See, God promises that all things will be used for good for those that love Him. And think about that scripture for a second. Someone brought this to my attention. I think it might have been Joe, but He doesn't promise. He says God promises us that all things will be used for the good for those who love Christ Jesus. For the good for those who love Christ Jesus. It doesn't say good for you, exactly, does it? It says He's going to use all things for the good for those who love Christ Jesus. So that's not necessarily you. It doesn't mean that every time you go through a trial, that God's going to pour some blessing on your life and everything's going to be good and hunky-dory. Life's difficult. It's not going to be easy. You know, it's not going to be good, some of these things that we go through. But if you would just keep the faith and just keep pressing on, He would use that very thing for the good, whether it's for other people or whether it's for you. You know? And Joe, I don't think he cares about using this example. This is my good friend Joe, by the way. It's a blessing to have him here. He's here from Fort Hood, serves in the Army. Amen. He'll be here for a few more days. Anyway, so, but he's going through a difficult time in his life with his child. And there's some custody issues he's kept from. So it was a very difficult time in Joe's life. You know, he was praying for him, we're praying together, seeking counsel, stuff like that. And what seemed to be so horrible at the time, it was gut-wrenching, and he wanted to see the child, ended up being the biggest blessing of his life because he wasn't getting to visit things he was supposed to get. He now has full custody of his kid. So, and Joe never gave up. It's been so easy to give up. It's not an easy process to go through stuff like that. It's a long, expensive process. He could have been so easy to feel. I'm sure people's in his ear saying, it's really hard to get rights from your mother. It's really hard to do this. It's really hard to do that. You're overseas somehow. You know, the judge ain't going to be, you know, I'm sure there's all kinds of things coming against him. He persevered. He kept through. He kept praying. He kept believing. He kept living that life he needs to live. And eventually he had that breakthrough. If he would have given up, who knows? He probably wouldn't have his kid. Now here he is, full custody. He's spending every day with that child. He's going to be a compass for that kid for his life. Because he didn't give up. He didn't quit. He kept pressing through. He kept believing in God. He kept reading. He kept praying. He kept doing all the things that he needs to do to be successful. But if he didn't have a routine set up, if he didn't have, you know, he just sort of fell apart. You know? He would have fell apart. Those things are very trying. So idleness will cause us to be defeated easily in our Christian walk. Now, as Christians, we should always be growing and moving forward. Always growing and always moving forward. You know? And how do you think we grow and move forward? It's by going to church, reading, praying, worshiping, witnessing. This is how we grow. This is how we move forward. Idleness is dangerous. It leaves us vulnerable, leaves us weak. We have to make sure we're not just doing nothing. We always got to be doing something. Always got to keep moving. Okay? Or we're going to get rusty. 1 Corinthians 10:12 says, therefore, let anyone who thinks that he stands take heed lest he falls. Don't just do nothing. Don't just do nothing. Don't remain idle. Continue to shoot your arrows. Make sure you're facing the right way. Make sure you're facing the hand of God. Keep shooting those arrows. It's not when the times of trouble come your way, or the cares of life begin to weigh you down, you don't get caught facing the wrong way. You don't get caught remaining idle. But instead, position your life towards the things of God and shoot your arrows. Establish a daily routine. Through that, God will restore the works of the enemy in your life, and He will do amazing things through your life. Yes. He will use you tremendously for the things of God. Yeah. So, and I want to close. In closing, in our text, the guy with the arrow, he just did what he always did. Just did what he learned. Just fell back on his routine. He just drew the arrow just as he was trained. He used the breathing technique just as he was trained. As he shot that arrow, he just released it. You know, it's not like they had scopes back then, no red dots, no modern sights. All he could do is pull back the arrow how he was trained and let it go. That's all he could do. So he just pulled back, he released the arrow and hoped for the best. And it was God that made sure that Ahab was standing at the right place at the right time at that precise moment the arrow came down. It was God who made sure that arrow pierced right in the only place that arrow could go through his armor. It was God who made sure that he was successful. It was God who made sure that arrow penetrated. So if you do your part, God will always do His. Your daily routine is not insignificant. God will always do His part, but we got to be willing to do ours. Amen? Let's bow our heads. Amen. Jesus loves you so much. It's no accident that you're here today. There's no such thing as an accident. You're here by divine appointment. I have no doubt about it. God has loved you so much that he made it possible for you to be here to hear this word. He made it possible for you to be here and feel His love. If you're here today and you never asked Jesus into your heart, you never asked Jesus to be a part of your life, you'd like to do that today, go ahead and raise your hand. I promise you it'll be the best decision you ever made in your life. Some of us are just tired. We're tired of life beating us up all the time. We're tired of doing things our way because it's exhausting. We're doing things on our own strength. It's exhausting. It sucks the life out of us. Even when we're in church and we're talking that Christian talk and we're talking that lingo and we're setting ourselves as one thing, but on the inside we know that we're not where we're supposed to be. We know that we're just maybe a little bit too idle. So if that's you here this morning, if you once had a relationship with God, you full of that passion, that zeal, but somewhere along the way you fell back into the world. You'd like to make that right, to make your heart right with God, raise your hand. From the top, the back, left, right. Keep on moving on. Anyone at all? I'm going to change the order of the call. If you're here today and you know that you have struggled with idleness, you know, if you're honest with yourself, that you've been coming to church and you come here and you worship, you have an awesome time, you genuinely love God, but you're having a hard time getting motivated, doing anything spiritual at your home. If that's you today, I'm going to open up this altar for you. If you've been idle for way too long, you know you need to change that. If you're not having impact in your life because of your idleness, then you need to come up to this altar and make it right. Ask God to help you. Ask God to give you that passion and that zeal that you once had. But see, when we get rid of that godly routine out of our lives, when we're no longer praying, we're no longer reading, we're no longer doing those things that we know we need to be doing, what happens is we begin to dry up. We begin to use our own strength, rely on our own strength instead of God's strength. See, God says, through your weakness, my strength will be made known. But if we're not leaning on God, if we're not pursuing the things of God, if we're just pursuing our own pursuits, our own things in life, then we're going to grow weak. We're going to grow weak. We're going to lose our strength and begin to dry up. Some of them are saying, why does not God stir me up like he used to? Why is he not doing those things that he used to do in my life? Maybe it's not God at all. Perhaps it's us. Perhaps we don't read like we used to read. Maybe at one time we were saved and we had that passion, we had that zeal, but somewhere along the way we lost it. And I guarantee it's 80% of the time it's because we backed off. And somehow we lean on our past, our former glory. Like an old football player relives that same moments. Over here, he's 60 years old, still reliving those glory days. But doing nothing with his life now, but they relive those glory days. And some of us here as Christians, that's what we do. We remember the days when we was fired up and we was doing something for God, we was outreach and we was witnessing, we was touching this community for Jesus Christ, but somewhere along the way we slowed everything down. And now we're just going through the motions. Listen, we're called to make impact. You want that zeal, you want that passion, continue with the things of God. Don't stop reading, don't stop praying, don't stop doing those things that we know we need to do. Because as soon as you do, your passion is going to dry up, your fire is going to die. So I just want to open this altar up for everybody. Amen. This altar's open. Come as you will. Get real with God.